The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Welcome back to another great episode of our Best Practices webinar series with 7Signal. If you could, please let us know where you're tuning in from. I see a lot of you have actually joined us early. We have Jamie joining us again this morning. Welcome back. I'm actually at my apartment back in Cleveland, Ohio, and we are joined by Jim Vada, who is in Cincinnati, Ohio. How are you today, Jim?
Yeah, good. I'm also at home, and it's cold here, down in the 20s today.
Yeah, Jim and I were just talking before this about how much snow both Cincinnati and Cleveland got. Jim, you said you guys got what, like an inch or two of snow yesterday?
Just under an inch
Just under an
where
inch.
I am. So,
Yep. And we got up to 16 inches here in Cleveland. So that was a fun day working from home yesterday with the wind blowing and seeing all that snow outside. It felt great December 1st. So
winter hasn't even started.
I know I'm gearing up for it. So off to a great start, if I do say so myself. All right, I see a lot of you dropping in where you're tuning in from. We have Sala joining us from the UK. Thank you for tuning in today. We have Keith joining us from Louisville, Kentucky. Welcome back. We have Lex joining us from Dallas. Thank you, Lex. All right, I see a lot of you still dropping in where you're tuning in from. Keep doing so, and we'll circle back with you all at the end of the webinar. And with that, we will go ahead and get started. So we are 7Signal, the leader in wireless experience monitoring, and we'll go a little bit more into depth as we move forward with what that entails and what our mission is as 7Signal. So as I said, we are joined today by Jim Vada, CWNE number 183, and our Director of Global Wi-Fi Solutions here at 7Signal. And I am Kelsey Rizzuto, the Marketing Specialist here at 7Signal. And our topic here today that we're going to dive into is troubleshooting home Wi-Fi and wireless devices for remote employees. Backed by popular demand and a very relevant webinar topic, if I do say so myself, Jim. So really excited to dive into this today.
Yeah, thanks. Be good to give an update on it since we first did this one back in April, I think it was.
Awesome. Well, really excited to dive in here, and we will keep moving forward. So just a few announcements for those of you who have recently joined us. These will all sound familiar, but we do partner, as always, with CWNP for every single one of our webinars. So if you're looking to get CE credits or you're pursuing some kind of certification, just drop us a message here in the questions panel or message us via email, and we can easily send over a PDF certificate to you per request. Our next point here is we do send out a 7Signal troubleshooter newsletter every 2 weeks. So if you're interested in staying up to date with all things Wi-Fi, all things 7Signal, we will go ahead and drop a link in the chat here as well, so you can go register for that. We also host a product tour every single Friday at 12 noon Eastern at go.7signal.com/tour. But we don't go too deep into depth with any kind of demo on these Wednesday webinars. But I will go ahead and read off just before we begin some exciting updates here with 7Signal. So we recently announced the release of Mobileye for iGel Linux and extended Linux OS coverage. And we also recently announced the release of a portable Sapphire Eye sensor, in addition to a lot of other exciting updates here. So if you haven't recently joined us for a product tour, highly suggest it so you can stay up to date, and we will go ahead and drop that registration link in the chat here as well. Moving forward, we do also post all of our archived webinars to our YouTube channel. So today's broadcast recording will be up there later this afternoon. So if you want to go check us out at 7Signal, you can go rewatch some of our previous webinars as well. We also post all of our webinar slides to our Twitter account at 7Signal. So again, today's slides will be up there later this afternoon, so go ahead and give us a follow. But if you aren't active on Twitter or you don't have an account, no problem. If you still want access to today's presentation slides, you can send us a message and we can send those to you via email. But you also will all receive a follow-up email later this week with access to that as well. Another great reason to follow us on Twitter is because we have been giving away a lot of Seven Signal merchandise to those who are followers of ours, and also to the people who engage with our trivia questions every single week. So I'm going to go ahead and read last week's lucky winners. We had Megan Leong and Sandeep Vig. So thank you to the two of you for engaging with our trivia questions, for following us. And to the rest of you on the line today, stay tuned for today's question and you'll possibly win some merchandise. A quick summary here, a little sneak peek of some recent ROI data from IDC research. Just wanted to give you a little sneak peek into this. There will be a white paper around this released in the next couple of weeks, which we will announce. So stay tuned and look forward to that. And one last announcement before we move forward. We have mentioned this in the past as well, so this may sound familiar, but we have recently been recognized in the Gartner 2020 Market Guide for Digital Experience Monitoring. We've been recognized as a representative vendor for Mobileye. So if you're interested in accessing that report as well, we will drop the link in the chat here for you to access that too. All right, on with the show here. A little background and history about Seven Signal. We were established in 2007 in Helsinki, Finland, and we are now headquartered in Cleveland, Ohio. We're really proud of the 1 billion data points that we're analyzing daily, in addition to the 5 million devices we're monitoring daily as well. We have over 200 customers, over 30 partners, and 14 patents, which means that the technology you see from Seven Signal you are only going to see from Seven Signal. We are also certified in over 40 countries and are GDPR compliant, which means that we take data and privacy very seriously for all of our users across the globe. Now, as I said, we are Seven Signal, the leader in wireless experience monitoring. And we're here because no one has created that perfect network, that perfect access point, and the digital experience matters. And usually when you have a negative digital experience, it bubbles up to one of these top 7 Wi-Fi problems here on the left, such as congestion, co-channel and radio interference, roaming issues, and more. And how we're able to detect those top 7 Wi-Fi problems is by running active and passive tests on the edge of the network, looking for things like packet loss, latency and jitter, adapter and driver issues, and more. So we're able to give you full visibility into the end user experience through that outside-in approach of Mobileye and Sapphire. And we remain also AP and device agnostic, so those great tools, great technologies that you already have installed on the network, we're incredibly complementary with as well. So to give you a little perspective as to what makes us so different, if you look at your typical enterprise LAN infrastructure on the right here, you've got those great tools and technologies providing useful data such as Riverbed, Cisco, Aruba, AppNeta, and more. But what we do is we take it one step further, picking up where they leave off by providing full visibility into the user experience with Mobileye. Mobileye, as we said, lives on the edge of the network looking in, and it can be ultimately installed on any mobile device, from your laptops, your mobile phones, your Zebra scanners, your workstation on wheels, and more. And it can be installed on any Mac OS, Linux, Android, or Windows device as well. Additionally, to complement that, we have Sapphire, which are the software-enabled hardware sensors for service-level quality and RF visibility. So with this suite, we are able to give you full perspective as to what is occurring in your wireless network environment. Taking it one step further, with Mobileye, we can also give you that external network visibility as you're all, or many of you, are working from home. As we said, you have that enterprise LAN infrastructure in the office, but that might not be as useful or relevant now with a lot of us working remotely. So with Mobileye, we can give you that full visibility into the user experience from your home networks, whether you're in a house, whether you're in a multi-tenant apartment, if you're working remotely from a coffee shop, and more, giving you that insight and that perspective and reliability into a pretty hectic work environment and current state of work from home. And as I've said many times and will continue to say, work from home is here to stay. A lot of us now are hunkering in for the winter time and working from home. So having that reliability, having that visibility into what's occurring in your home networks is just as crucial and just as important now more than ever. All right. As I said, we do trivia questions every single week, and we give away a lot of 7-Signal swag. So I'm going to go ahead and launch today's trivia question from Jim, and we'll see how our audience does with this. Can you see this question, Jim?
Yep.
All right, awesome. True or false, Wi-Fi 6 will solve most work from home problems?
So a more practical question, not the usual protocol level minutia that I like to use for this.
Awesome. I see a lot of you still dropping in some answers. So I'm going to go ahead and close this now. All right, Jim, how did we do today?
Yeah, looks good. I agree that the new features introduced in the 802.11ax amendment will have generally a little, small to no impact on the Wi-Fi problems people are having at home.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jim, and thank you to everyone who participated here. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the controls over to Jim here so we can dive into this presentation today.
Okay. And am I sharing the right window? Yes. All right, so real quick, a little bit about me. I'm the Director of Global Wi-Fi Solutions here at 7-Signal. I'm a CWNE and also hold some Cisco certifications in wireless. I'm a wireless network engineer by trade and have had experience in several different verticals. And you can follow me on Twitter at Jim Vada. There's my blog, which is just about Wi-Fi, and my one of the things I've accomplished while during the summer lockdown was finally getting my ham radio call sign. So I'm Kilo Echo 8 Oscar Kilo Victor on 2 meters and 70 centimeters if you want to reach me there. So let's jump into the problem today. So in the spring, a lot of employees that previously weren't working from home got sent home on short notice without a lot of time for IT to get organized and get prepared and build solutions to support the new remote employees. And so now they're using enterprise applications, probably most notably collaboration tools like Zoom and Teams and GoToMeeting and exactly what we're doing right now, but they're using them on home networks, real-time applications on networks that really aren't designed for them. On top of that, the enterprise IT group has no visibility or control into those home networks, but the show must go on. We've got to figure out ways to keep the business or organization operating because this is a long-term change that to some degree won't revert back to the old ways of working. So what we're seeing is these issues with work from home, Wi-Fi, and network performance are often landing on the help desk, sometimes the networking team as well, or in some cases, employees might be on their own to troubleshoot these problems. So we've done a lot with Mobileye to help, particularly around making it more friendly for help desk users to potentially resolve home Wi-Fi issues without having to escalate a ticket. So a couple of issues on a high level that are affecting enterprise applications on the home network. The first thing is the equipment in use. It's consumer grade, it's very low cost, It could be considered junk, at least compared to enterprise class hardware. The internet circuit in most homes is just the best effort, no SLA kind of circuit, even if it's very high bandwidth. It's not treated the same way. The traffic isn't treated the same way. The availability isn't treated the same way by the ISP as a business class WAN circuit. There's no network design in most homes. Believe it or not everybody is a radio nerd and setting up multiple APs and carefully tuning their channel plan and things like that. Usually it's sort of plug everything in out of the box, make sure I can get on the internet, and off we go. And of course, back to the issue with using real-time applications is there's no QoS. Probably not any between the AP and the client, and certainly not any across that residential internet connection. Unfortunately, the situation gets even worse when we look at some of the things people are using at home. I'm going to pick on Asus a little bit here and just go through a feature set that they have on one of their very expensive high-end gaming routers. And just show you the kind of the problems this actually might cause for work from home employees. Now, Asus isn't the only one with products like this, but it's particularly an interesting case. So first, we've got a 3-radio wireless router. Which means it's going to probably be using 80 megahertz wide channels with 2 5 gigahertz radios, which is hogging spectrum and leaving very little open to neighbors. We'll kind of gloss over this idea that people need 10 gigabit networks at their home. If you want that, you can have it, I guess. It uses the DFS band, which is nice if you know what to expect with it. But I would bet that if there are radar detection events, this router is going to be changing channels frequently back and forth. And most end users, don't have no idea what a DFS event is and how to react to it and how to account for it. So that's going to be disruptive. Additionally, there's this WT Fast feature, which is like a VPN specifically designed for gaming uses. Your end users are probably using their own VPN, so now we've got a VPN within a VPN. We're routing traffic to who knows where. Not good. Adaptive QoS. This is where we're looking at, we're trying to do layer 7 application inspection and apply QoS based on the applications we detect. But that is really, really hard to get right. Even in the enterprise with big $50,000 appliances and a security team and a network team and vendor support to try and do this effectively without any issues is hard. And the chances that a low-end consumer hardware and software are going to get it right, probably on the low side, in my opinion. This can also do mesh with other Asus routers, which is going to use up even more spectrum. And then perhaps the scariest feature to me overall is when we try to do security and implement potentially block traffic based on application signatures. Applying QoS can only do so much damage if it gets it wrong. But when we're blocking traffic based on an application signature, that's risky. And again, in the consumer space where everything's built to a price point, man, that just opens up a lot of possibilities for causing trouble with your enterprise application traffic. And of course, there's very, very little visibility into any of these features. It's kind of like a black box, and you don't really know what's going on as the enterprise, what's going on when traffic flows across a box like this. So, this is some of the stuff that's out there. And not only that, we go back to the point about not having a serious network design. It can actually be pretty bad, because a lot of these things are fairly ugly aesthetically, the wireless routers are. So people have shared ideas on this Pinterest board about, hey, how do you fit this, where can you put your router so you preserve the nice look and feel of the home? Like, here's how it fits in a desk drawer. Here's where you can cram it into a bin somewhere. Fold those antennas in, and it can fit in even tighter spaces. Of course, all this is bad for Wi-Fi performance for various reasons. But that's what we're seeing now. We also see with mesh products, they are trying to design them now to be a little bit more aesthetically appealing in the context of kind of being out in the open and in the home. So there is some progress there. But unfortunately, situations like this are too common still. So what can we do? If you get that help desk call from that work from home user that says the Wi-Fi's, not working, or your application's not working, first of all, how do we even know what the problem is? Because we're not talking to someone from IT. We're just talking to somebody who's trying to use their business application. And then they might say Wi-Fi, but maybe the issue's with the internet connection, or the issue's with the laptop. It's hard to tell. So, it kind of ends up with a similar call to like a cable company troubleshooting your home internet connection, which is really, really frustrating for the cable company's tech support and the end user. And the reason for that is there's no visibility. We don't know what the problem is. So what happens is we kind of go through a script of just throwing things against the wall, throwing solutions against the wall, and hoping one of them sticks and actually solves the problem without ever knowing what the problem actually is. So you go into things like, is your router close enough? Can you unplug it and plug it back in? We all love hearing that. How fast is your internet connection? How many end users actually know the answer to that? And if they know the answer, do they know how fast the upload speed is? Which they may, most do not. And of course, upload is really critical if we're doing real-time applications. And then things get really painful if you want to walk them through, opening up the command line and running some commands and tell me what the output is. Man, that's tedious. And again, something you might go through without really knowing what the issue is. So a lot of pain there. I do want to say, though, you don't always have to use Wi-Fi for work from home networks. I'm not using Wi-Fi now, and there are options besides running Cat5 or Cat6 cable to the desk. One of them is Powerline Ethernet, which is pretty well known. This is where you create actually a Ethernet mesh network over the existing electrical lines in the home. And when it works, I think it works pretty well. You can get a couple hundred megabits per second. Sometimes it doesn't work because we're using electrical lines that aren't designed to carry data signals. So you need to test to see if that works out. But that's an option to get around using Wi-Fi. The other one, which I like even better, is Mocha 2.0. The new version is 2.5. This uses the coaxial lines that are used for cable and satellite TV in the home and builds an Ethernet network over them. It's actually what I'm using right now, and it's extremely reliable. In my experience, it's just as reliable as twisted pair Ethernet. So, if you have a home office, I think it's a good idea to at least consider if you can get yourself a wired connection. But again, back to that, the overall problem with the whole employee base, it starts, the beginning of the solution is visibility. Let's at least understand what the problem is that an end user has, so that we can target the solutions that we're offering right at the real problem. And that's where Mobileye comes in. We can see home network performance because Mobileye is an agent running on that employee's laptop. And we can test their network and Wi-Fi performance and see what sort of problems pop up. We've also, this year, made it much more help desk friendly, so that the place where that call comes into the help desk, hopefully is where it gets resolved without any escalation required. So I want to jump into a demo and just show off some of the cool features that we have for work from home users. So let me switch over to Firefox. There we go. So this is a work from home user here at 7 Signal who takes his laptop home, and he's had some issues with his network performance at home. And right away we can see, using these timelines on the left, exactly what problems he's encountered and when they've happened. So I don't need to be a CWNE to see that, hey, look, there's been some really significant coverage problems associated with his Wi-Fi network and his laptop, and see exactly when they happen. This is really nice because if we were to troubleshoot that at a later point in time, after the ticket or call was logged, we wouldn't find it. You can see it was present for a day or two, and then it was gone. So having the historical data lets us know what happened and what the issue was. Additionally, the coverage thing is kind of ambiguous. Yeah, I brought the router out from behind the refrigerator, but what's the signal strength? Is it actually good enough or not? Maybe it's still not. And with Mobileye, we can see the precise signal strength that the machine has received. So if I hover over the signal strength graph here, I can see the exact numbers for the RSSI that he's received at his laptop. And I'll also see the data rate, over-the-air data rate, drop significantly when he's had that low signal strength, indicating that, how bad the problem is. So that's really handy. Additionally, we can see if he's had roaming problems. A lot of end users have multiple access points in the home because they're using mesh networks. And for that to work effectively, the client has to roam properly too. And we can dive into that. We can click on the timeline, and now I get this nice drill down. So if we're doing more advanced troubleshooting, we can see all the data that's relevant to this problem. If we don't want to bother with that, if we want this problem to get resolved at level 1, we've built this really nice troubleshooting guide that talks through the simple, easy, basic fixes for some of these Wi-Fi problems that we discover that can be implemented by the help desk. So if we see a machine with a roaming problem, the quick fix is to bounce that adapter, turn it off, turn it back on. It should connect to a better AP. And if you're on a Windows box, like a lot of enterprise machines are, let's check out the driver version of the adapter and see if we need to update that, which is a simple check here in Mobileye. We gather all that data, the wireless adapter and driver in use, and we can see if that's a current version and get that updated, because drivers play such an important role in Wi-Fi. Just like with roaming and coverage, we have some really basic resolution steps here that help desk can work on with an end user as well. Get closer, move the router or AP, make sure those, if it has external antennas, make sure they're vertical and not all in different directions. So a lot of options there. Additionally, we can see interference issues. Now, he's been pretty lucky. He hasn't really had much interference problems, but one of my favorite features in Mobileye is this channel chart. This is like a Wi-Fi scanner view, but it's from that end user device, which is really great. I can see all the networks that might be overlapping on the same channel that he's using, and maybe suggest, if you really had a significant issue with congestion and interference, move to channel 1, or get up here in 5 gigahertz and break up your SSIDs so you're always on that 5 gigahertz SSID, and your machine can't roam to 2.4 where there might be much more significant congestion, which we see very frequently in dense residential areas, apartment buildings, things like that. Now, besides all the Wi-Fi stuff that we can troubleshoot, which is great, we do some end-to-end testing, which is helpful for discovering if the internet circuit is under provisioned, if it's too slow and we can't get enough throughput. You can see a couple times our throughput wasn't quite adequate. And if I switch to the throughput tab here, I can see exactly where, where those numbers bottomed out at. And I can get even more precise with our drill down here, which will show, wow, look how low that got. Less, just a couple kilobits per second of upload throughput. If I only had a few kilobits of upload throughput right now, this webinar would be a complete disaster. So if he was in a meeting at this time, you can see, why things were really, really terrible. And then we can look at our Wi-Fi timeline and see, were there Wi-Fi issues that were at the root cause of that, or maybe it was that residential internet connection that was poor. And then another great feature here is we can run some active tests like ping and web download against our enterprise applications. So in this case, we're just running a regular ping against a Citrix portal and a Skype for Business gateway. And now we can keep an eye on latency, because again, latency, it can really get out of control with residential internet connections, right? They don't have SLAs that bind the ISP to providing a certain level of performance. And that's one of the reasons why there's so much lower cost than business circuits. So we want to check on latency, and we know, with Skype for Business, we need 100 milliseconds or less of latency for adequate performance. And this is our check to make sure we're always within that threshold, and in fact we are. So very useful feature as well, not just for identifying problems, but also making sure performance meets our application SLAs, right? Not just are things wrong, but is it good enough when it's working for us to expect everything to go pretty well. So this is, this is a look at a single device in a single home. Great for reactive troubleshooting, responding to help desk tickets, phone calls, uh, you know, uh, things of that nature. But we also have a great set of reports that lets you proactively identify networks and computers and access points that are having issues too. So if we just look at our Wi-Fi problems by access point report for the 2.4 gigahertz band, real quick we can see that which remote users have had the most Wi-Fi problems that we've automatically detected. And I can go down this list and reach out to whoever these people are and say, hey, we can see you're struggling with network performance. Maybe you're tolerating it. You haven't reached out to the help desk because of all the pain involved in that. You know why users sometimes want to avoid that. But we can reach out proactively and say, hey, I can see you're having all these congestion issues with low throughput and high channel utilization. What can we do? Let's look at your at the device details and see if there's something we can help you out with. So really, really nice features there from a reporting perspective too, that lets us get proactive. And then the last thing I just want to show off is that we can tailor all those thresholds that we showed you, like our ping round trip time and our throughput thresholds. All of that can be tailored to your network requirements. So if you're not using Skype for Business, you're using a different solution that has different requirements, you can plug those right in here and then make sure, and then when you see problems and things change color from green to yellow to red, you know it's actually relevant to the applications that you support. Okay, Kelsey, I think that wraps up about everything I wanted to show off. So I think we could get into some Q&A. I do have actually one final slide. Let me just bring that up real quick. Just a few key takeaways. Like you saw in the demo, Mobileye gives you visibility into home networks. You can see the problems with the Wi-Fi network, with the client, end-to-end performance problems, directly testing the applications you use. And this is not news for most of us, but it doesn't look like remote work is going to go anywhere. Even with potentially an end to the pandemic coming at some point, a lot of employees are being very productive at home, and businesses are saving money on retail or real estate rather expenses. And so remote work to some degree will be around for a while. And Mobileye is a great tool to help fix these issues that end users are struggling with to solve on their own. And now it really helps the help desk fix those problems before and without escalating them to the network. All right, Kelsey, I think maybe we have a few minutes for Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. I see a lot of you dropping some questions in there. I encourage the rest of you, if you have anything you want to ask Jim, to do so. I will start with this first question here. And Dave wants to know, what is the specific training required to be able to set up our solutions at 7Signal?
Part of our onboarding process is training. So we give that to all of our new customers to make sure they're comfortable and getting the most out of our products as possible. And it's a couple of weeks of 1 hour meetings essentially once a week. It's not 2 weeks of training. It's broken up. So particularly with Mobileye, easy to get up and running pretty quickly.
All right, thank you, Jim. Let's see what else here. One question we had was, I can go back to where it was. Is there any way to test Zoom for a home user, maybe a certain website to ping, from Jason?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would look for, is maybe a central domain name for a Zoom gateway, or just zoom.com or something like that, where you could point that ping test, or actually you could do a web download test against it as well, just to make sure it's always available.
All right, thank you, Jim. We had a question from Spencer, and he is referencing the home Wi-Fi is scary slide. Do remote workers with an Ethernet connection, hardwired, not Wi-Fi connection, run into similar challenges with adaptive QoS, AI protection, and other features?
Yeah, unfortunately they do. My approach to those kind of features, if the end user isn't an IT or networking engineer, is just to uncheck them all, turn them all off, and keep it simple.
All right, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Spencer. And I think we have time for one last question here. And Dan wants to know, how does the license model work?
Sure. So Mobileye is licensed per agent deployed, and it's a yearly subscription.
All right, thank you, Jim, and thank you to all of you for dropping those questions in there. And thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for giving us 45 minutes out of your Wednesday. So thanks to all of you for joining us, and we hope to see you next week. So thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Kelsey. Thanks, everybody, for showing up.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.